This is Bitcoin zoomed out on a weekly chart. You see the cycles here. You see all the Bitcoin halvings. You see the parabolic bull cycles. You see the bear cycles. We do a lot of analysis on the zoomed out on this channel, and we're always talking about preparing for the long term. But right now we're actually, and yes, while Bitcoin's dipping and crypto's dipping, I know it doesn't feel nice, but we're actually entering this moment here on this macro cycle. This takes years to get here, where we better be on our game. This isn't just about, hey, be prepared on the macro, be prepared on the zoomed out, have that long-term plan. We're entering this moment of the game, this 4-year cycle area, where you better be on your toes in the short term. You better have your plan set. And I'm speaking to myself right now. And I know it doesn't feel nice, and we're going to talk about the crypto price action. We're going to talk about Bitcoin charts. This Bitcoin daily move, so normal, everybody. But I want to actually talk about what's maybe happening here and how it relates to previous cycles. And we're going to talk a lot about, at the beginning of the video, the US dollar currency index, because this is what's happening. This is a daily chart. It's been pumping. This has a lot to do with Bitcoin price action. But as I start this video, I want to say this move at this moment of the cycle is probably the best possible thing that could be happening for crypto. So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. Let's talk about all of these things. I want to start with talking about the US dollar, and then we're going to apply it to the Bitcoin charts, and we're even going to apply it to the short-term Bitcoin price analysis as we do head into elections 13 days away. So a few points I want to point out that this article went over. Fed rate cut expectations shift. 91% chance of 25 point cut in November. Okay, so rate cuts not going to be likely as aggressive as first thought. That helps the dollar. Gold retreats from its all-time high of 27.58, with profit taking likely as the strong dollar pressures the precious metal. We're going to look at a gold chart. Gold putting in an all-time high and then consolidating might be the very best thing for Bitcoin, by the way. And U.S. presidential election uncertainty fuels dollar strength as markets weigh the impact of a potential Republican victory. So here's the thing. The next 2 weeks are going to be volatile. But as we discussed in yesterday's video, check it out if you haven't seen it, on the zoomed out post-elections, historically, every cycle so far for the entirety of Bitcoin being in play and trading, Bitcoin after the elections has gone into the parabolic bull cycle. And I really think this year, this cycle will be no different. And I could be wrong. It could be different. And if it is, we'll track it. I'll be here tracking it. But let's talk about first the US dollar. It is pumping based on all of these things, and this is a normal event. But what I want to point out on this chart, if we start zooming out on the daily, and why this is good for Bitcoin and crypto markets right now, it becomes very clear. Right now, the US dollar index is approaching this lower high Fibonacci. This is the first macro kind of zoomed out area I want to point to. So it's a swing high back here to the swing low, and this pullback to this Fibonacci, the 618 and 786 area, just to give you a sense. Swing high, swing low, it's that green rectangle. But I want to point out the momentum oscillators and why this applies directly into why this could be good for Bitcoin. As you know, crypto, risk on assets like Bitcoin, equities, when the dollar's rising, it's not the best thing for those things. Look what it's doing on these momentum oscillators. It's overbought. And yes, it can go higher. And we have to start tracking. If it does go higher, do we start seeing any type of bearish divergence on this oscillator? That's something we'll have to track in the next couple of weeks, right? And just to give you an idea, here's kind of what I'm talking about. A move like this. Lower high on the oscillator, last swing high on the US dollar chart, and then we consolidated. But look at this. Every time it's been overbought, it started its consolidation. Even back here, not so much overbought, but towards that overbought area, consolidation. Right here, consolidation. Right here, consolidation. We're entering overbought. The reason why this is good for Bitcoin and crypto is because as the elections in the next couple of weeks, this could be volatile. This could go higher. Bitcoin could go lower. Crypto could go lower. But over the next 2 weeks, as this chart finally finds its top and tops out and starts retracing, and the election is set, it's over, the markets start acting normal again without such speculation. And if this starts falling, guess what? the timing of this at this moment of the cycle compared to every cycle so far, this is perfect timing for Bitcoin and crypto to take off. And so that's why I'm saying, even the US dollar just seeing these massive gains on the daily chart, it's painful in the short term, but wouldn't you rather at this moment of the cycle see the US dollar hitting overbought, preparing for a consolidation and a retrace, rather than hitting oversold on these oscillators on the daily? Look at the MACD, the momentum oscillator. It's not going to hang up there just constantly. It's going to retrace. Look at the quicker moving momentum oscillator. Stock RSI has been in this overbought territory for all of October, right? It's not going to hang up there indefinitely. That will retrace. So I'm happy that these things are overbought. This US dollar index momentum is overbought as opposed to oversold and we're getting ready to pump. We want it to fall. And so that setup is approaching. And based on historical data, post-elections, Bitcoin pumps anyway. That timing is really good to me. The article mentioned gold, it's in this all-time high area. It looks like it could be getting ready to do some type of big retrace. I just want to point out last cycle. If we look at a gold chart, look at last cycle, gold topping out. But look where it's topping out. This was right before the parabolic bull cycle for crypto. And just to give you a sense of what this looks like on a Bitcoin chart, here it is. Here's gold, all-time high, topping out. Yes, Bitcoin retraced, and then it was game on. And look, notice where it retraced to, that 20-week moving average. This is something we talked about in yesterday's video. We had a very similar 2012 kind of consolidation around election time to the 20-week moving average. And then after elections, it was game on. And so right now, what's happening as we start zooming in on the Bitcoin charts is we are getting consolidation. And if you zoom out on a weekly, I know it feels terrible in the short term. It's like, man, it's over. But if you zoom out on the weekly, you're like, okay, like there's actually not much happening. The noise becomes less as the more you zoom out. And so we have to just kind of maintain this macro view, but also be prepared for short-term volatility. So that 20-week moving average, as I think I talked about in last night's video, is $62,000. This becomes important when we start zooming in on the charts because no matter what is going on right now, this has been in play. This retrace to these moving averages. That support area has been $62,000 to $64,000. Right now, the 20-day, though, moving up towards 65. So $65,000 to $62,000 is the support area for Bitcoin. It's really just the confluent area of these moving averages, the 50, the 200, and the 20. So retracing to that area to test support is 100% the first step, no matter what is going on from a technical analysis perspective. If we're going to get the throwback, it's the first step we want to see. I can't sit here and say that there's definitely going to be support there, but this is the bullish area of support that we want to see hold. If this holds and Bitcoin sees support there, and remember, right there is the 20-week moving average in green around 62. If Bitcoin sees support here, and I don't know what the next 2 weeks will look like, maybe it has to fall through, right? And just it has to get really oversold on the shorter term before seeing the true bounce. Maybe we won't get that just amazing bounce off the support and the technical setup won't be as nice looking. But if it does, this setup is here post November 5th elections for Bitcoin to do what it's done every cycle so far, and that is to say, enter the parabolic bull cycle. And we're not talking about all of the other things that I've just been constantly talking about that play into this cycle and the timing of this cycle and what I think is about to happen. We're not talking about any of that. We're mainly focused right now on the US dollar, the consolidation. We're focused on gold. We're looking at what's going on with gold. But the technicals, when we start digging into the zoomed out, we start looking at the daily, we start looking at the weekly. I think I mentioned in yesterday's video, this MACD line crossing the signal line, this histogram turning green on the macro. The timing is very good. And so, yes, we're kind of falling in the short term, but if you zoom out, you get a long-term picture. And in my view, even with short-term volatility, the short-term dips that are in play for Bitcoin right now, maybe we dip even to the 50-week moving average, 57,000. That's like a $9,000 dip. Even so, What's happening here at this moment of the cycle is just bullish. It's the bullish setup that we've waited years for. Back here, falling into the bear market, looking forward to the potential next bull market, we could speculate about so many different things. What will it look like? What will the US dollar be doing? What will gold be doing? What will interest rates be doing? What's inflation data? We didn't know any of that. And now we do. And guess what? The setup is looking pretty good for Bitcoin on the macro. So these are my thoughts today. I know it's just nowhere near as fun as when we're seeing green candles, but these are my thoughts. And I'm going to continue tracking these markets, continue just being patient and anticipating everything. There's no guarantee we get the bullish repeat, but either way, I'm prepared. And that's the key here as we visualize all of these scenarios. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. I appreciate all of you watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.